Hello there, it's another Sunday and this is your Sunday show, Frontline on AIT. I am Obiora Ilu. Today, as we round off the Cancer Week, we'll revisit the issue of cancer and see how those charged with this responsibility are keeping the discussion around. We'll talk about youth development in the southeastern part of Nigeria. And later on, we'll feature an interview one of my colleagues had with the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria as he talks about to Nigerians and Americans. Welcome to our program, and with me in the studio I have Dr. Ramatu Hassan. Dr. Ramatu Hassan is National Coordinator, Cancer Control Program and Head Nuclear Medicine Program at the Federal Ministry of Health, Abuja. Dr. Hassan, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And with her today is Ronsi Chidebe. Ronsi Chidebe is the project initiator of NYC Project Pink. And this program is focused on breast and cervical cancer awareness and free screening. You're welcome to our program.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll start with you, Dr. Ramatu Hassan.
Yes.
All this week we've been talking about cancer. Yeah. We've been having seminars, symposia, workshops. A lot of Nigerians are worried whether it's just a yearly ritual that is just 1 week, and then we forget about it again and wait till next year. How are you planning to sustain this crusade?
Thank you very much. Actually, it is because the World Cancer Day is being commemorated. That's why there is this hype about cancer. In between now, for example, and next year's World Cancer Day, and in between last year's World Cancer Day and this one, the National Program for Control of and Prevention of Cancer works all day. At the same time, advocate groups, the international NGOs and also national NGOs keep on working at the background concerning cancer issues. It is just that for this particular time each year, it was decided that we must make this noise so that whatever we are doing throughout the year could be brought to the fore, so that public would be more aware of what are the issues, so that we could keep reawakening awareness and reawakening discussions and reawakening knowledge concerning cancer.
Why did we choose the theme we chose this year? Yeah. Why was focus on that?
It is mainly so that we could come out with the realities. We could do away with the so-called hearsays. There are so many hearsays about cancer due to lack of awareness. There is so much stigma, like if you talk about skin cancer, which looks very bad. There are some, yesterday I was at a forum where the albinos were complaining that if they develop skin cancer, which they are very much prone to, landlords don't even allow them to keep staying in their houses. So cultural stigma, social stigma makes us to say that, look, cancer is something we must talk about so that we could do away with this sort of stigma. And then also, a lot of us think that if you have cancer, it's just something that will just come up with no sign or symptom. So we wanted to do away with that myth. Cancers come with signs and symptoms, depending on which type of cancer. It could be a lump if it's the breast, it could be intermenstrual bleeding if it is a cervical cancer. It could be bleeding from the nose or the mouth, unexplained loss of weight if it's leukemia. It could be bleeding from the anus if it is colorectal cancer, for example, and so on and so forth.
So we want to clear all the myth.
Yes, and some of us that feel, oh, I don't have a right to be treated if I have cancer. No, government is doing so much, conducting human resource development, training people, paying them salaries, buying equipment, operating, building hospitals and equipping these hospitals so that individuals could be able to access health care.
You know, Dr. Hassan, that's actually an area I'd like us to talk about.
Yes.
In the run-up to this year's Cancer Day,
Yes.
we, as an organization, we did a number of stories and reports on people's down with cancer.
Yeah.
And the general information or
Yes.
opinion that we got
Yeah.
was that a lot of people could not afford cancer treatment.
Yes.
Actually, a couple of them said it's an expensive disease. And here you're saying government is doing this and doing that.
Yeah.
How can we draw it down so that the ordinary Nigerian who is faced with this, as some of my friends will say, this calamity,
Yeah.
you know, can get access or should know how to get access to cheap treatment or subsidized treatment?
Now, nowhere in the world is cancer treatment cheap. So there's nothing like cheap cancer treatment the world over, whether you're talking of a developed nation or an underdeveloped nation. And for us in underdeveloped nations, we have additional problems because we have manpower shortage. Not all of our young professionals want to go into cancer care professions, which is what we have been preaching all week round, to say that please, we need to strategize and allow ourselves to go into these professions. If you're a doctor, aspire to be an oncologist.
So how do they get subsidized treatment?
Yes, that's what I'm going to now. Then, at the same time, there is the, people will want to say, okay, there's the NHIS. Yes, NHIS supports part of the treatment when it comes to the other supportive drugs. But then the core, we know that the core drugs or radiation is not yet supported, but arrangements are ongoing. Remember, if this thing is going to be given free to any individual, someone somewhere has to pay. So in order to plan for all this payment so that it could look like it's being free, takes a little bit of time and strategy. So these plans are ongoing, and as soon as we're ready to go, we'll get going.
How soon?
A lot of people... It's not my place here now to
yes.
say how soon, but I know that activity is going on, plans are on, so that this kind of thing could go on. The next thing is people should also agree to key into the NHIS. Because okay. if you don't key into the system, then when it comes on board, you cannot get it.
So in the interim,
yes,
is there like an interventionist strategy, you know, to help people that are living with cancer?
Yeah, you see, the interventionist strategy is that we are focusing on producing more manpower, because we realize that if you bring in equipment, if you build hospitals, if you bring in medication, if you don't have the manpower that is capable of using all this, then it's like you've not done much. Now, nobody would want to give us their own manpower, because the world over, oncology care is suffering from manpower, even in developed countries. Now, so therefore forget about going out there to source for manpower. Mm-hmm. Two, we have numbers. Millions of Nigerians are there, and we have the capacity to develop, and we have the training institutions on ground. So we are saying that, okay, we develop so that we reach where we need to go, because if we don't do that, we have nobody to do it for us.
I need to come back to you, because these are all plans in the future. Yeah. I'm actually concerned about what we can do immediately.
So we are focusing a lot on training.
On training.
Yes, training
which will take
of
a while.
Existing manpower, training of future manpower, and making plans so that we could continue that.
Okay,
because engineers are required that know how to even operate our radiation machines, for example.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. Part of this training and getting people to be involved, I think
Yeah.
that's why we have Ronsi Chidebe with us today,
Yeah, so that they could
who
be
is
sensitized.
a youth corper, and your project initiator and probably director of Project Pink. Tell me about it.
Okay, Project Pink is actually a youth-led, bottom-top approach, to try to create awareness on breast and cervical cancer, and also to give out free screening to women, who cannot afford for the screenings.
Are you a doctor?
I'm a psychologist.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
thinking you were a doctor.
Yeah,
So how do you implement this program of yours? You said bottom top.
Yeah.
So I want to
What it
believe you start from the rural areas.
Exactly. What
So-
it means is that, you see, youth corps members are very dynamic and are a very strong instrument when you want to really reach out to people directly, because some people are really posted in very rural area, like very far away from the urban centers, and because we're there, we have access to them. We have, we really meet with them every day. So what we did, or how we implement what we're doing, the free screening, is that we did one first in Kabusa. It's a local area after Apu. Yeah, we did that screening. And in that screening, with the interaction we had with the Federal Ministry of Health, with Dr. Ramatu here, we're able to screen so many women. We screened actually over 165 women. Sorry, over 105 women. And then we trained about 165 women on breast self-examination so they could teach other women. And it's not just a youth corps thing. We bring in professionals who also bring some other health organizations who help in partnering to do that. We also had another project as well, in commemoration of World Cancer Day and Cervical Health Month, which we did on 24th of January. And we do not just give the breast screening, we also give cervical cancer screening using the VIA, that's the visual inspection with acetic acid. Yeah.
Okay, how do you move it out of Abuja? Do you have your colleagues, other youth couples, doing this in places like Kaduna, in Borno, in Enugu, in Kwara State? Do you have that kind of network for this work you're doing?
Yes. There are youth corps members who are also in different areas. Yeah, and I cannot really say, emphatically what they are doing, but I'm sure that we also have so many passionate youth corps members who are doing something, maybe creating awareness, and possibly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Dr.
actually,
Amatu,
that's how I invited him here today.
Okay.
Because government cannot do it alone, and that's why my office at the Federal Ministry of Health, we take up these NGOs and groups like the NYSC and so on, and we train them. We harness their efforts and we augment, and occasionally we also give capacitation so that they could go out there where we may not be able to reach. Nigeria being a large nation and cancer being an issue that we are always preaching that please, everybody has to lend a hand.
Okay, I was going to say, how do you leverage on the broad-based network that an organization like the NYSC can afford you to replicate what Ronsi and his colleagues are doing around Abuja?
Yes, you know that the NYSC normally has groups concerning many areas. So for the first time, we understood that they have a group like what they are running here. That's Ronsi and his mates. So we are encouraging them to continue, and we are asking that other NYSC sectors in the other areas of Nigeria should also key into this kind of activity, because it lends a very big hand in the work that we are doing and in the work that other NGOs are doing. When you are young, you are really very active. Vibrant.
Okay, Ronsi, how did you get involved in this, you and your colleagues? What was driving you?
Okay, I initiated Project Pink, because of the death rates, and because when you're walking on the street, you tend sometimes see women, have bandages around them, and they're actually looking for fun. Even on TV, on AIT, you usually see people asking for one help, one support or the other, even in other different other states where when I was in school and otherwise. And then I started first, to like try to research more, though I had interest in clinical psychology, which is medical psychology. So I had the passion to really like research more. What can I do to really see how I could, reduce this incidence? Because the truth about cancer is, you just mentioned that it's an expensive disease. Now, since it's an expensive disease, the key to cancer prevention is being aware, is knowledge. And the key to health is when you have the knowledge. So I realized that the most important thing is to get people aware about it. And that is why in our first project, what we just did was awareness, training, and just breast exam.
Okay.
In the second one, we stepped up again to cervical screening.
Okay, Doctor, as we round off now, what are we going to see between now and next year?
Between now and next year, we are going to scale up cervical cancer screening efforts, both on the side of government and non-governmental agencies, so that a woman, no matter where she is in Nigeria, could have the opportunity for a cervical cancer screening once, even if it's just once in her lifetime, by the time she is aged 50 and above.
I want to thank you for coming on our program. Thank you, Ronsi Chidebe, Project Initiator, NYSC Project Pink Breast and Cervical Cancer Awareness Program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Sharia
so much. Oh, Sharia compliant.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ramatu Hassan, National Coordinator, National Cancer Control Program and Head Nuclear Medicine Program at the Federal Ministry of Health. Thanks for coming on our program.
Thank you.
When we return, we'll be talking about youth empowerment and the role of youths in national development. Don't go away.
Democracy should be interpreted differently according to culture or geography or whatever. I take it with a pinch of salt.
He was so militarized. His whole body was military. There was nothing democratic about OBJ.
This party chairman a few months ago got up and told the whole country that Boko Haram were freedom fighters. Now, in any other country in the world which was facing an Islamist insurgency where people are being slaughtered, and the chairman of the ruling party will get up and say that those insurgents are freedom fighters, this would be a reason to ask the gentleman to resign.
Hello and welcome to Frontline, your Sunday show. I am Obiora Ilo. AIT, and now we're looking at youth empowerment. And our focus today is Abia State and what the youths are doing there. I have Comrade Dr. Kingsley Chidozie Lawrence, that's a double barrel. He's National President, Southern Nigeria Youth Assembly. And I also have Comrade Fortune Nwafo, who is the NANS Joint Campus Committee Chairman, Abia State Chapter. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Ilo.
So when we talk about the the Southern Nigeria Youth Assembly, what is behind it? What is the objective?
Well, first of all, it's an organization that governs the whole South, Southwest, and Southeast youth, most especially to partner with the government in the orientation of youth, to be able to galvanize youth for leadership tomorrow, to redefine Nigerian youth, and to also support the government that is doing well. That is the most motive behind it.
Is that your understanding?
No, that's the summary of the whole thing. That's the summary of the whole thing.
Okay, what kind of activities do you think that today's youth should be involved in? So that, because everybody's talking about national development, we are looking at a national conference. We're looking at ways to better, harness our different energies. How can the youth make this possible? I'm talking to you, Dr. Chidozie.
Well, first of all, the youth, I want to use Abia State as a case study.
Yeah.
Where I am a member and also from the state. The government of Abia State, led by His Excellency Governor T.A. has provided enabling environment for the youth to prepare and sustain themselves for tomorrow. And it's left for the youth to also embrace the change and work towards what government has provided. That is the concept of what youth ought to do in the bidding or in national development. Now, for instance, in Abia State, the government of TOG provided close to 7,000 vehicles to be able to aid the youth who has nothing to do. And as such, the youth ought to embrace it and also support the government. I think it's something to commend of. None of the governments, past governments in Abia has done that. And the youth also should be part of it. And that's why we, or I and my people, have decided to also align ourselves with the government that has the passion, the drive to support the youth. And the youth should not be disappointed. We should not disappoint the government. The youth should not be used against the government that has been doing well. In Abia State, we have the case study where every youth in Abia State are happy. For instance, we went to a fact finding. We're able to understand that Abia State's youth has the least unemployed indigenous youth in this country. The government opened a way for them and things are working. The youth are coming back home. And that's what we advise our youth to do.
Okay, Comrade, in what specific areas, I mean, we decided now to use Abia State as a case study. In what specific areas are the youths leveraging on the opportunity that government has provided?
Yeah, the present day administration of Governor T.O.G. Uchendu Global has made tremendous efforts to alleviate the sufferings of the youth in the state. If you come to Abia State today, you will see that almost 99% of the youth are self-reliant. The governor did a very fundamental work. He did a very fundamental research on how to arrest the unemployment in the youth, among the youths. Abia State today, as a case study, is a place where the governor himself did a program we call the Abia State Youth Empowerment Scheme, AES, where he provided empowerment tools, skills acquisition centers, skills acquisition for the youth. He equally gave transportation vehicles free of charge. You see these Hummer buses, Sienna cars, that's up to 3, 4 million, some 6 million. He gave them to the youth free of charge, so that those of them who can drive, who are good in transportation, can use it as for commercial purposes, for them to earn a living. And by so doing, you see that the youth are now engaged. They are now very much self-reliance. They don't have that time of thinking about what to do negatively to put the state into a state of insecurity. In fact, the governor, the youth are very much happy about the governor. They are equally, people begin to wonder how the governor managed to initiate this kind of idea. Because if you watch in the years back, in the previous government, precisely during the time of Ojo Zokalo, that was when we have Togre. Togre was legalized. The youth are involved in all manner of indiscipline just because there was no job. And that was why Abia State became a state where insecurity is order of the day. But due to the emergence of the Governor T.O. Ojo Global in 2007, he was able to dismantle all the satanic edifices. He dismantled unemployment. He dismantled thuggery. He dismantled kidnapping. He dismantled all the negative thinking of an average Abia youth by engaging them into useful activities.
Okay, it's not just enough for the government to provide these facilities. It's also important for the youth to be ready, because you're telling me that some of these things came free. Probably they will assume that because it came free, I mean, they can handle it anyhow. You are like leaders of the youths. What do you tell your colleagues?
Well, as a youth, I told most of my colleagues, I keep telling them they should come back home and embrace the change His Excellency has brought to us. Virtually every people, the governor brought issue of Liberation Farm, where he engaged every good Abian youth who just came out of university. If you go there, if you have given me opportunity, I will show you some of the pictures. The youths came on and took up the responsibility. They did not deny the fact that the government has been doing well. So we have been crusading around that. But if you are any state you are, and you are in Abia, the governor has given us a good platform. He has given us a nice platform for us to take home. If you're even in diaspora, come back home, there is a good thing for you to enjoy in Abia State. And because outside the transport scheme, the system has provided, he pays unemployed youth every month 25,000 naira.
Every
unemployment, yes, 25,000 every month.
Close to 50,000
as a stipend, and people receive it. So anybody making a clamor statement that His Excellency is not doing well, I'm telling you, the person is lying. They are detractors, and that's why we felt that instead of us folding our hands and looking at these people, it's hard time we took up something and said, no, we have to support this man who has painstakingly transformed Abia State to what he is today. He's a think-home governor. He goes out and bring ideas and bring back to home. Mr. If you recently come to my state, you would like to be in state. If you stop it, be in Abuja. Okay, last week most every organization wants to have their own meeting in Abia State because the youth are no more engaged in criminality. It's when you have something, you have given youth something to do. There won't be any form of insecurity in the state. Abia State is a place after Abuja. There's the next place I can say that is competing with other states in Nigeria, in Abuja.
Okay, Dr. Kinsley, we know there's so much happening around the country now, especially the national dialogue that we want to engage in. What will the Abia youths, if they get the opportunity, and I'm sure the youths will get some opportunity to be part of what is going to happen, yes, what will they be taking to that national dialogue? What would they be asking for?
Yeah, I think the priority of every Nigerian should be unity. The unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable. The first thing that will come into the mind of every average Nigerian youth, every average Abia youth, should be unity. Personally, if I happen to be in that national dialogue, I will be an apostle of unity in that national dialogue. I will equally be an apostle of equal recognition. Because if you watch the way things are going in this country, most of the regions are marginalized. Much of the region doesn't have access to where others have access. I think our priority in that national conference should be equal recognition in the helm of affairs of the nation. And by so doing, justice will prevail and unity will be the paramount order of the day in the country.
To add what my friend had just said, the unity is most important thing. The youth will also be yearning for them to be part of the government, because as it stands now, the youths are the future, not even tomorrow, today. The government, they belongs, and the government, they should belong. So the youths, if in such national conference that is forthcoming, the youth should advocate for an equal representative by Goodluck Jonathan administration. And of course, His Excellency Governor T.O.J. has done it. He has engaged youth both in his appointment in every sector of his government. So that's why you don't see most of Togre as he used to be in past governments. So that is the paramount thing we are yearning for.
A lot of people say that the youths of today, yes, they want recognition, yes, they want appointments, but are not ready.
Who says so?
We are much ready.
They are much more ready than people who are saying
we are
it.
much more ready.
I can vividly tell you,
Yes.
you know, I always draw a case study in Abia. Reason, because the governor is doing well.
So are the youths in Abia ready?
We are much more ready because the governor has empowered them to be ready. He has sensitized them. The governor has brought them closer to know that this country, this states, or the Abia state belongs to them. That's why we're happy. Every sector in the government, in appointment, the youth are involved. What gives me joy that this man, this His Excellency, the way he handled government, he doesn't make noise. He doesn't talk much. People talk for him. Forget about propagandas. Going, they are, I think I can call them political demagogue. They go around fighting the government that is focused to be able to bring back things, the glory of Abia State. You remember that verse in the Bible. So we believe we are God's own state. We are God's people. And the governor has brought us close to God.
Of course, of course.
And that is why I keep saying it. Please, leave this man alone. He's committed to work. And he has been working. In fact, this is second, he's the most qualified. In fact, if I am, or the youth Abia said, he should go for third turn. If there's any room for us to get a third turn, constitution should be amended, he should go for third turn.
But if he goes for third tenure, the youth won't have that opportunity you're asking for.
Of course, he could also involve us in his government as well, which he has been doing.
Of course.
Which he has been doing. Let me give you instance. For instance, in His Excellency administration in Abia State, where I belong, health sector, the hospital or the specialist hospital we have today, I wish you would have given me opportunity to showcase this, is the best specialist hospital, at least in South. We have patients referred from different, even teaching hospital, comes to Abia State because of what Uchendu has brought ahead to Abia State. The dialysis center, the powerful building he provided to doctors, if it is known to be reckoned about. So this man, okay, if you go to road construction, virtually all the roads in Abia State are having a new lift. I am not saying, the governor doesn't know I'm here, even though he knows. I'm just saying it because I have seen it. I am back to the state and I must support the governor. Is doing well. The health sector is the best in Abia State. Everybody is happy. So I wonder why people should allow the man to say, do what he has an agenda. He said his word is his back, and it's true. So that is why I even involve people media. When people are coming, talking around question, people should come and see. Everybody comes, youth, we are coming back home this December because it's a safe place for us to stay.
Okay. Of course, in 2015, we're expecting there be elections.
Of course.
What percentage of the opportunities that are available in 2015 are the youths grabbing in Abia State?
Let me just come in there. You know, one thing in governance is one, preparation. Another thing is execution. When you prepare, you are in the drawing board preparing on how to execute. Then secondly is the willpower to execute, because you may prepare. At the end of the day, you emerge. You begin to handle the mantle of power. You were not able to deliver due to forces around. So I think from the orientation the Abia youth have gotten through the present administration of Governor T.O.J. Ochendu Global, every average Abia youth who has attained the age of 18 and above is ever ready to handle any leadership position in Abia. For example, I want to, in the student angle where I'm coming from and the chairman Joint Campus Committee, Nance, if you were during the ASU strike, every other state, you saw this state having a street protest, this other state having a student having street protests from one state to the other. But Abia never had any street protests.
You guys were happy with the strike?
No, not that we are happy. There is a way we did our own. What we did comfortably, we went to the media. We have a press conference and sensitize the people about the feelings of the students about the ASU strike. We didn't go to the streets because we have gotten orientation that going to the streets is of no use. Going to the streets, we create a room for enemies of good governance, for enemies of security network to double in and hijack the protest to become another thing. That's one of the orientation we've gotten from the present administration. You know, peaceful resolution, dialogue is what we believe in. And other orientations about leadership we've gotten from this present administration. So every Abia youth is ever ready to deliver if the opportunity is given. And which I know, the present administration in Abia, almost everybody there is a youth. You know, everybody mustn't be governor at the same time. But there are many leadership positions that the youth are occupying. If you watch the cabinet of His Excellency Governor T.O.J., you see that most of the commissioners there are youth. They are youth of our own generation. If you watch the SAs, almost all of them are youth. If you watch other areas, the ASEPA, you know, all of them are youth. So the youth have started working already. And come 2015, if the opportunity still comes again for the youth to continue, the youth are ever ready to continue to work. But we still commend His Excellency for the work he's doing. He's really doing very much well. Let me chip in this, although you didn't ask me. In the academic sector, in the student angle, in those days, things we are seeing today was not there. Today, if you come to Abia State, you see that the governor has made everything very much easy for the students. You see the buses, coastal buses, coming to villages, coming to the doorstep of primary and secondary school pupils, picking them as early as 7 o'clock. These buses are very ready to take the students to the school. Once the school dismissed, the buses will take them back to the school. Coming to the tertiary institutions, the Abia indigenes in the tertiary are receiving their bursary allowance. Even the youth empowerment program of Ochendo, the students are equally involved. You see the governor giving students a computer set and the printing machines, printing machines. Yes, to encourage entrepreneurship. You see them engaging themselves in one thing or the other to move forward, to make sure that peace. Because in any environment where the youth are accorded the adequate priority, there is room for peace.
Okay. Kinsley, what is your last message to the youths of the Southeast? But I think you're more comfortable with the youths of Abia State. You keep talking about
because the governor is a youth-friendly governor.
Okay. So what's the message?
The message, I want to say that the Abian youths who are in diaspora, who are outside Abia, should embrace it and support His Excellency to finish administration. We should be peaceful. We should pray for His Excellency. He has done well. I have not benefited personally from his, but my people have benefited. That's why I'm speaking good about him. We should also know that anybody, the youth should not be used against the government that is giving us sense of belonging. That is my advice to you. Even aside Abia State, also youths of Nigeria should also support the good governance of His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan, who has been also carrying youth along. His government provided access to the youth, even my governor. We don't have it before. What we have is when a governor will be going, the youth will be going with gun. but we don't have it. The governor, he's a free governor. He's accessible. So I instruct all the youth to embrace peace. Come back home. Ochendo is there to receive us. He's a good governor.
Okay, Fortune,
Sir.
your last word.
Yeah, my last word is let every Nigerian youth, let every youth of South, Southeast, Southwest, let every average Abia youth begin to reawaken the spirit of unity, the spirit of positive thinking, the spirit of looking forward to emancipation for peace and adequate cooperation to any government that is doing well. We should realize that days are gone when we begin to believe on propaganda.
Yes.
Like the present administration in Abia State is very realistic. Ochendu administration is government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Thank you.
Not government
Thank you.
of a family by
Thank
one
you.
family
Thank
and for
you.
one family.
Thank you, gentlemen. I've been speaking with Dr. Kingsley Chidozie, National President, Southern Nigeria Youth Assembly. Kingsley, thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I have been speaking with Fortune Nwafo, who is the NANS Joint Campus Committee Chairman, Abia State Chapter. Thanks for coming on our program.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
And our program continues as we bring you the interview we had just a few days back with the U.S. ambassador to Nigeria.
The U.S. Foreign Relations Committee, you had talked about addressing the legitimate economic needs of communities vulnerable to violent extremism in parts of Nigeria. What were you really referring to when you brought this up?
When I had the privilege of presenting my letters of my credentials to President Jonathan, and we talked afterwards, I said to him very simply, and I've repeated it to the media, that quite simply the U.S. wants Nigeria to win its war on terror. Now, there are many aspects that make up that effort. I was misquoted in the media the other day saying that I had recommended that your government pursue a non-military approach to Boko Haram. Didn't say that. What I said is we recommended that you pursue a more than just military approach. By that we mean, of course, there is a military element of the counterterrorism effort, but there have to be other aspects as well, dealing and helping the civilian population. And in the comments that you touch on, what I was talking about is I think experts around the world would agree, sometimes in areas of extreme poverty, fanatics who twist the messages of the great religions of the world can sometimes exploit those people and draw them into organizations like Boko Haram. So I mention that as part of this multifaceted counter-terrorist approach that I mentioned. It seems to me that addressing economic needs in affected areas is one part of this complicated equation.
Okay. Talking about Boko Haram, there have been reports about Washington's red flag, so to speak, over the possible escalation in Boko Haram insurgency. Were these reports true? And if so, how did you come about this conclusion?
I'm not sure what reports you're referring to, but look, we coordinate very closely with your government on Boko Haram in terms of sharing information, providing training, all of these things. As you know, we recently designated Boko Haram as a foreign terrorist organization. That has some effect on financial flows to our country and so on. But the most important aspect of that is, in my opinion, is the symbolic value of that. To state in public, as I said to the President, that we stand with your country against Boko Haram. Now, there has been some concern that that designation of Boko Haram means that the U.S. Marines are going to land any day, or the skies over Maiduguri will become dark with U.S. drones. Let me be very clear. Everything we do on the counterterrorism front in this country, we do in coordination and collaboration with your government. So any initiative that we might take would only be after we talk in detail with your government. So if anyone out there is worried about unilateral U.S. boots on the ground, it's not going to happen.
Okay, let's still Boko Haram. Looking at some of the concerns that have that have been generated arising from the tagging of Boko Haram as, as a terrorist organization. There were also reports, and I'm sure you may have come across that Boko Haram U.S. interests may become targets. Are you worried?
Look, we have security and safety concerns all over the world. We put a lot of effort into protecting our people against all sorts of terrorist groups around the world. But U.S. diplomats still have to go out and do their job, just like I'm doing today with you, Tunde. So we try to strike a balance between protecting our people and getting them out there to do their job. So I'm aware of Boko Haram's various threats over the months. We take them seriously, but here I am, out in the public doing my job.
I'm feeling very safe.
Good, good. I feel very safe as well.
Well, again, in this engagement and interaction with the Nigerian government, there have been times the Nigerian government has had cause to express concern about meddlesomeness on the part of the Nigerian government. I mean, the U.S. mission in this country. How have you engaged this concern without compromising the strategic long-term relationship between the two countries?
Well, I don't think I'm a meddler by nature. Do you have a specific example? Or?
Well, the Nigerian government, I do know that there were times that U.S. diplomats were even summoned to the Nigerian Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Look, our two countries are friends. And in my opinion, the definition of friendship is that if you're my friend, that means sometimes I have to sit down with you and look you in the eyes and talk about things that maybe are difficult to talk about. And if I don't have those conversations, that means I'm not your friend. The fellow who never talks about difficult things with you, he's not your friend. So yes, we have things to talk about with your government. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're more complicated. But what I can say is we will always approach them in a spirit of friendship and partnership, and not in a spirit of wagging our finger, but in the spirit of extending our hand in friendship to say, how do we solve this issue that bedevils both of our countries? Or that how do we deal with this subject that has become a bilateral issue of contention? That's the attitude I will always take, friendship, partnership. How do we fix this together? If a year from now you think I'm meddlesome, you come tell me.
In other words, the concerns raised by Abuja, the Nigerian government, and your engagement of these concerns have not really affected these long-standing friendly relationships.
No, I don't think so. I mean, sometimes, I get called in, we have a conversation, but the relationship rolls on. I don't see any one subject that's going to derail our relationship. We have too much wonderful stuff going on together, Tunde.
Yeah, wonderful stuff. We can't say that much about the U.S. reaction to the recent anti-gay law passed by the Nigerian government.
Right.
Could you give us more insight into Washington's position?
Sure. Let me be very clear here, Tunde, and let me underline that I speak as a friend of Nigeria.
Okay.
The issue of same-sex marriage is very controversial, as you know, as a journalist, all over the world, including in the United States, where I think now it's legal in something like 17 states. That means in the other 2/3 of our states it is not recognized. Maybe someday our Supreme Court will make it the law of the land, but that has not happened yet. So the issue of same-sex marriage in Nigeria, or what constitutes a marriage legally in Nigeria, frankly is up to the Nigerian people. Let me be very clear. In fact, I think even before the same-sex bill, it was already illegal in your country. I think the Marriage Act specified that a marriage legally was a union between a man and a woman. So the notion that we're trying to impose gay marriage on Nigeria is nonsense. But I would encourage all Nigerians to read the entire bill. And speaking as a friend of Nigeria, if you get down into the bill, it places, it seems to me, restrictions on the freedoms of speech and association. You can't talk about this, you can't meet on this. And it seems to me that in a country like Nigeria, where you fought so hard for your human rights and your democracy, it just seems to me there's cause for concern that once you begin to limit these freedoms in certain areas, it makes it easier to keep limiting them in the future. The other thing I would say about this bill, speaking as a friend, we have a massive effort here, working with your government in the struggle against HIV/AIDS. Our PEPFAR program, we've spent something like $3.5 billion since the beginning of the program. So one of our concerns, and from many other organizations involved in the struggle against HIV/AIDS, what if this bill unintentionally causes HIV positive people to be reluctant to go get treatment? Now your government has made some comments saying that is not the case. Good. I hope they continue making those assurances in public. The final point I would make, Tunde, on this subject is my country, other democracies like yours, you know, we stand for no discrimination, equal treatment for all. And there have been some incidents, I'm sure you're aware as a journalist, since this bill was signed, of incidents of hatred and violence against gays around the country. I think everyone can agree, regardless of your personal opinions about homosexuality, I think everybody, all Nigerians can agree that that kind of violence and harassment is unacceptable. There should be no place for it in this beautiful democracy here in Nigeria. So that's where we're coming from on this issue, Tunde.
Yes, you're right about the very sharp reactions of the average Nigerian to the same-sex issue. But you also find that this same reaction is also snowballing into what seemed to be the situation in the U.S. With the same-sex marriage thing or a relationship thing sweeping across most of the U.S.
My country is working through the issue of what constitutes a legal marriage. Your country is working through the same. As I said, that's an issue for the Nigerian people. But what I find when I talk about this, and I talked about it quite a bit last week in Lagos with a number of audiences, is I would ask people, okay, raise your hand if you've read the entire bill. And I found that most people haven't read the entire bill. They just focus on the title, same-sex marriage. And what I mentioned in my previous comments is get past the title and the issue of same-sex marriage, which we are not promoting here. Of course we're not. Get down into the details that I mentioned. That's where, as a friend of, as a democratic friend of Nigeria, we feel we should raise these concerns.
That was my colleague Tunde Hassan in that interview with the U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Ambassador James N. Whistle. And that's our package of Frontline for today. I am Obiora Ilo from Abuja, Nigeria. Thanks for joining us.